Thanks for your time, Senator. Kat Wong from AAP. So activist Claire G. Coleman has pointed out something kind of strange with the referendum. She's pointed out that the referendum requires obviously a double majority, a national majority and a majority of at least 4 states. But of course your home, the Northern Territory, doesn't count as a state, which means the 80,000 First Nations people living in the Northern Territory, who make up about 1/3 of the state's population and about 10% of all of Australia's Indigenous population, are partially disenfranchised. You constantly advocate for First Nations people from the bush and for them to have their voices heard. So how do you feel about the fact that their vote is partially erased?
Well, they've been exploited again for the purpose of somebody else's agenda. This is what I've seen over and over again. It's come from the Uluru Statement from the Heart, which, by the way, the word Uluru, I know from speaking to Arnongo elders, they are unhappy that the landmark and the name has been exploited for the purpose of a PR campaign for a referendum. Their voices aren't being heard. And isn't that just ironic that their voices aren't heard, although the Yes campaign have exploited their landmark for the purposes of this referendum? This is what has continued to occur, as I said, because the powerful who have had an education and access to media have controlled the narrative of Indigenous policy without letting those in remote communities really have a voice. And while they claim that this is about them, it's not about them. There are those proponents of the voice who have had years at the table. These failures are their responsibility also. They now seek for a transfer of power through our Constitution so that they can never be dismantled. But it is incumbent upon every single one of us not to just fly in a group of Yes campaigners to celebrate 6 years since the signing of the Uluru Statement from the Heart and ignore the locals, and where the only locals that are in attendance are just the paid dancers. They need to actually listen to people on the ground, which is certainly what I've been doing, which is certainly what Senator Karen Little, she provided a video for the media of traditional owners, of senior lawmen, Arnongo men, who said the Uluru Statement from the Heart, that canvas is a troublemaker. It's dividing our nation. Those 250 signatories, some of them don't even know what they were signing. They don't represent all of Indigenous Australia, like we wouldn't get a group of white Australians together to determine policy for white Australia and then say that this little group represents all of white Australia. We don't do that to any other racial group in this country. We've got to stop doing it to Aboriginal people.
We've moved very well through all the questions, but we've got one final question, which is from Dana Morse.
Thanks, Senator. Dana Morse from the ABC. Just a quick one. Do you agree with regional and local voices being legislated as put forward by the opposition leader, Peter Dutton?
So at this stage, there are certainly conversations taking place. There are conversations that need to be had within our party rooms, within Shadow Cabinet, to determine what it might look like to amplify and support regional and remote communities, particularly Indigenous people in those communities going forward. And I am absolutely going to be front and centre with those discussions and those determinations going forward. I look forward to that.
Thank you very much for your speech. But before I ask the audience to thank you, I want to thank you on behalf of the club for being here. We got through all of those questions, which is no small feat in a crowded agenda. We'd like to present you with this membership card because you're welcome back to the National Press Club at any time.
That's my second one.
Well, you're doubly welcome back. So thank you again. Please join me in thanking Senator Jacinta Price.
Thank you.